And the mom's like, yeah. And it becomes like this running joke. Da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Get therapy. That wasn't any good. Mended Light. What happens when you need therapy, but you're scared of it or you don't want it, right? How can you work through that to actually get the help that you need and grow in the ways that you need to grow? What happens when you're confronted in therapy by things you don't want to face? How can you overcome that fight or flight response? And if you're a therapist, how do you manage that? How would I manage somebody literally trying to escape my office? Because it's happened. I've had people basically run screaming from an office of mine. We're going to explore this in the Netflix series Wednesday. So let's dive in. Wednesday has been sent to Nevermore Academy, and there's a neighboring town called Jericho. It's basically, I mean, I hate to say it because I loved Wednesday, but it's like Hogswort and Hogsmeade, right? It really is, except for one of them's populated by muggles. This is basically what's going on. The school is full of outcasts, of monsters and creatures, and the town is full of normies, regular folk. That's the mythology. And but she's going into Normie Town for therapy with a non-monster therapist, and she just doesn't want to do any of it because it was court ordered and her parents are making her. Let's do this.
Therapy is a valuable tool to help you understand yourself. It can teach you new ways to deal with your emotions. It can also help you build a life that you want.
I know the life that I want.
Tell me about it.
So it's a pretty good intro to what therapy is. Wednesday is closed down and shut down, and she knows the life that she wants, but does she know how to get it?
Therapy is a valuable tool to help you understand yourself. It can teach you new ways to deal with your emotions.
True.
It can also help you build a life that you want.
I know the
True.
life that I want.
Tell me about it. Everything said in these sessions is strictly confidential.
Also true.
Do your plans involve becoming an author? I understand you've written 3 novels about a teen girl detective, Viper de la Muerte. Can you tell me about her?
Viper is smart, perceptive, chronically misunderstood.
Any luck getting your work published?
Editors are short-sighted, fear-based life forms. One once described my writing as gratuitously morbid and suggested I seek psychiatric help. Ironic, isn't it?
How did you take that?
I sent her a thank you.
Oh gosh.
I've always been open to constructive criticism.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad to hear that. Because I was sent the manuscripts as part of your psych evaluation. The relationship I found most intriguing was that of Viper and her mother, Dominica. Why don't we dig into that?
And this is where Wednesday's
Wednesday,
like,
part of
I'm
this
out.
journey requires us going to uncomfortable places emotionally.
I don't travel well. Would you mind if I use the powder room first?
So Wednesday is going to escape out the window. Why would she escape out the window? What's going on here? Well, first of all, her therapist, it's an interesting balance because you very much want to be yourself in therapy as a therapist. You want to bring your own personality to it. You don't want to just, at least I personally do, because I want to know if I'm a good fit for the person and if they're a good fit for me, because otherwise I'm going to refer them out and help them find the right person. But her therapist isn't matching. Matching is a form of joining. In therapy, joining is bonding. It's forming that bond. It's forming that connection so that people open up, so that they trust you, and so that they're willing to seek counsel, seek guidance, but even more than that, to share their thoughts, to share their dreams, to share their fears and their struggles. Because in therapy, I don't like to just tell people what to do. In fact, I think that's terrible therapy to just tell someone what to do. I prefer to help them explore their options, explore ways of thinking they haven't considered, and take the choices that they're making or the thoughts that they're having to their logical conclusion to see, is that in line with the life that you want? The issue is, in order to get there, you have to earn someone's trust. And in my opinion, this therapist, Dr. Kinbot, is using the wrong joining techniques. She sees this goth girl come in who's very emotionally flat, very monotone, very morose and morbid. And she's not matching her. To match somebody is to see, okay, in therapy, if someone is sad, then I need to be empathetic. If they're angry, I don't need to match their level of anger, but being fired up for them. If they're happy and energetic, matching that energy. If they're calm, matching their calm energy. You may feel like you need help, but you're not sure you can afford it. Or you really like to handle things yourself and aren't sure that counseling is a fit for you. We hear you, loud and clear. That's why we've designed a low-cost Mended Light membership site to give you an affordable, self-guided option for trauma recovery, mental health, and stronger connections. All of these courses are available or coming soon to the membership site, with a new course every month. What's more, every month Alicia and I offer live Q&As with members where we answer your burning questions about trauma recovery, how to have healthy relationships, and how to improve your health. And we have a Book of the Month Club where you can join us as we read, then talk about a different book to help us all along in our growth and healing. And did I mention the giveaways? Every month we select winners from among our members for free Mended Light merch, gift cards, virtual lunches with Alicia and I, vacations, and even cruises. Every day you go without needed support is a day you suffer needlessly. Our membership site is built out and waiting for you, complete with videos, audio recordings, workbooks, summaries, and practical application exercises so that what you're learning truly takes hold in your life. And we're waiting for you to answer live your questions and give you direct feedback and guidance. Sign up for your Mended Light membership today with no sign-up or cancellation fees. Why wait to heal? Why wait to feel brave and whole? Get started today by clicking below. And Dr. Kinbot is sunshiny and perky and cheerful, which is great for a lot of people, but it's definitely a turnoff for Wednesday. I mean, Wednesday talks to her for 15 seconds and says, yeah, this is not a fit, right? But Wednesday's going to stick it out until Dr. Kinbot brings up her mother. I mean, she goes right for the jugular. She knows, having read the manuscripts, that this is Wednesday's greatest struggle right now. And if she were dealing with somebody who were very open and conversational, a therapy client who were very open and conversational, who came in and said, I'm ready to work, here's my greatest struggle, then yes, you go right for the mother. The issue is that Wednesday's there by court order. She doesn't want to be there. And any therapist knows, like, you have somebody who comes in standoffish, they're there by court order. Your first job is not to go right for whatever their biggest struggle is. Your first job is to help them want to be there. And Dr. Kinbot's trying to get Wednesday to want to be there by getting Wednesday to match her tone, right? We're gonna be positive, and we're gonna be happy, and we're gonna be, I mean, it's like Dolores Umbridge in Harry Potter, except for, not evil. But yes, you do want to be yourself as a therapist, but you also want to find that balance. Dr. Kinbot talks about the importance of therapy in helping us to understand and manage our emotions. And she's dealing with someone right in front of her who is probably autistic, right? And we'll talk about that in a later episode. She doesn't know, the therapist doesn't know if this person wants to learn more about emotion or has any interest in that. And then says therapy can help you get the life that you want. And here's where Wednesday needs to show up a little better, but doesn't want to because she doesn't want to be in therapy, but she says, I know the life that I want. Dr. Kinbot isn't suggesting otherwise. She's merely saying, if you know the life you want, do you know how to get it, right? Because a lot of people, they have insight of what I want, but how do I get there? And that's one of the benefits of therapy. But fail to join through matching, fail to make somebody feel like they've got an ally and somebody who's just genuinely interested, and push them too hard about things they don't want to talk about, and you're going to get somebody who stands up and walks out of therapy, or in Wednesday's case, goes into the restroom and escapes out the window. So what would I have done? I mean, I'm a very upbeat, positive person, but if I had somebody like Wednesday come into my office, I would have, within seconds, I would have clocked, I need to check my energy, right? And I would have brought it down, and I would have been a lot more chill, and I would have tapped into my inner cynicism, because believe it or not, it is there. And I would say, well, what would you like to talk about today? And if they say, I don't want to be here, I want to talk about anything, I would go into, I understand. Like, at least I can understand why I wouldn't want to go to therapy, and I might share a few reasons why I might not want to, then ask, why don't you want to be here? And let them tell me why therapy sucks and why therapists suck. That's what I do with court-ordered people who don't want to be there. And then I talk about, okay, look, I respect that, and I'm not going to take that personally. Since you have to be here, what do you say we go through the paces and do what has to be done so that you can get out from under the thumb of this court order? And they're like, great, let's do that. And if I act like you don't care about this, fine, I don't care about this either, but we have to do it, then I'm going to spend the better part of the first session just chewing the fat with them and just getting to know them a little bit. And if they don't want to open up, then I can start to share things about myself that might match a bit more who they are. And it's not a manipulation. Like I would find those aspects of myself, the more cynical side, the more detached side, the whatever. Or if she likes writing mystery novels, would talk about Agatha Christie or Mary Shelley, which they talk about later in the series, right? That first session is crucial. You want to get somebody to come back, then you need to join with them. And Dr. Kinbot is just keen to get down to brass tacks and just keen to get the work started, and you have to meet the person where they're at. Wednesday doesn't want to be at therapy, so your first and foremost job is to get her to want to be there. She doesn't like being at Nevermore. She doesn't like being with her family. So maybe therapy could be the one refuge where she can just really sound off and be nasty, and nobody's going to chastise her for it. Maybe that's where you start. So that's what I would have done.
So, who wants to start? Maybe we can discuss what it's like having Wednesday away from home.
I mean, for me, it's been hard not having Wednesday around. I never thought I'd miss being waterboarded so much.
And the mom's like, yeah.
Morticia? Gomez? How have you been coping?
It's been torture for us too.
Fortunately, my brother Festa's rag fits two people.
Nothing like a good stretch to bring out the best in each other.
Querida mía.
Enough!
Okay.
I think it's high time.
Let's talk about this really fast. Therapist just goes, and it's great for the comedy. She's not taking control of the session, which, it's all a game of chess. There is strategy involved. She's asking the questions and then just seeing what develops. And this is actually really good, I would say, for right now. She's never had Morticia and Gomez and Pugsley in her office before. She doesn't really know what they're like. And when you don't know what somebody's like, I wait until I've created a bond with somebody before I start taking the reins a bit tighter, right? And there are times, for example, in a first session that I'll let a couple fight in a really ugly way without intervening because I want to watch what it looks like. Or a parent and child, I want to watch what it looks like because I need to learn how they argue, how they resolve conflict, or in this case, how they show affection. So I'm not saying that what she's doing is bad. In her case, it doesn't seem to be a strategy to sit and watch. She's more confused about what's going on and doesn't seem to know how to take control of the situation. Have I had couples be very physically affectionate? PDA in my office? Yeah. It's awkward. As long as the clothes stay on and it stays PG or PG-13, then I don't really have a problem with it. But in this case, Morticia and Gomez are doing what Morticia and Gomez always do. They're tuning out the outside world as their passion for each other just overwhelms them. And I would say, guys, let's hold on to that. Let's do that later. We're here for different things.
Enough! I think it's high time my parents faced the music. It seems they've been lying to me, keeping secrets. Murderous secrets that need to be addressed. Who was Garrett Gates and why are you accused of murdering him?
Whoa. Those charges were dropped. Your father is an innocent man.
Local sheriff doesn't seem too convinced.
Wednesday, stop. This is neither the time nor the place.
Actually, this is exactly the place. These sessions
Doctor, this does not concern you. And I refuse to debate a decades-old witch hunt with you right now.
Darling, maybe.
Okay. Well, and then she's about to walk out. So, kindness, gentleness, positivity are great tools for therapists to have. They make people feel cared about, empathized with, non-judged, right? Therapists also need grit because people will steamroll you. They will dominate the session. And what I tell people is, in this moment, I would have said, instead of, actually, this is the perfect place, I would say something like, excuse me, I understand you don't want to talk about this here, and that's your right and that's your decision. But the fact is, you've come to me for my help. And right now there's a rift between you and your daughter that's not being served by not having this conversation, that's not being served by keeping this in the dark. Right now, she's got so much anger and resentment towards you that she can't even look at you. And I imagine that you're here because you want that to go away, because you want that connection back. My opinion, we need to talk about this. And then I would reiterate with what they would already know from the paperwork and they would already know from coming in, that what we talk about here is confidential. Now, if someone confesses to murder, that is true. If someone actually confesses to murder, therapist has a duty to report that. There's a handful of things, child abuse and murder among them, where doctor-patient confidentiality is trumped by public safety or pursuit of justice. But I would have said, if the charges were dropped and if your father is innocent, it seems like this is a place to talk about this. Are you willing to do that? Because Morticia just glared at the therapist, and the therapist backed down. Why? Because it was a battle of wills. Why? Because the therapist was being really happy and perky, and Morticia's just like, no, I'm establishing dominance. And I don't like to use that phrase, establish dominance, because it's very primal, but the fact is, the therapy office is my domain. Which doesn't mean we're gonna do what I say. It does mean that I will assert myself of, you're here for my help, let me help you. And I would say about 7 out of 10 times, they sit down and they're like, okay, let's do this. And we get into it. And about the other 3 out of 10 times, they do what she does right here.
You right now.
Darling, maybe we should...
No. This session is over.
Have it your way, Mother.
Wednesday?
If you refuse to tell me the truth, I'll just have to excavate it myself.
Tied her hand, you need...
Thanks for the candy.
Actually, that's potpourri. Why don't you take the bowl?
And it becomes like this running joke of them eating the potpourri later on. Now, for those who are attending therapy, the whole purpose is the buried stuff that you haven't want to talked about needs to get unburied, needs to get aired out, needs to be worked through. People think they go to therapy to feel better. Yes, in the long term. In the short term, to the medium term, no. Therapy is going to be uncomfortable. Therapy is going to force you to look at things you don't want to look at, to deal with things you don't want to deal with. Why? Because they're killing you, or they're killing your relationships. And so if you're going to therapy, show up ready to talk about anything that needs to be talked about. Show up with a mind open to change, to be challenged, ready to be accountable, ready to be responsible, ready to be humble, ready to be teachable. That's the only way it's going to work. And if you're a therapist or training to be a therapist, you got to have some cojones. You got to stand up and assert yourself, and you have to take control of the room when the situation calls for it. Which doesn't mean that you prevent someone from leaving if their mind is set on it. Of course, they're free to go. And I've had sessions where I didn't want someone to leave and they exercised their right, and I wasn't going to stop them. But this situation could have gone differently if the therapist had asserted herself and spoken boldly instead of timidly. Now let's see what happens outside after.
What were you thinking? How could you ambush your father like that? Wednesday!
How could I? You insisted I go to this school. Did you really think I wouldn't find out your secret?
You don't know the full story. Your father did nothing wrong.
I'll be the judge of that.
Potpourri?
Gosh. I often wonder what happens outside my office when someone storms out, especially if they storm out together. Usually what happens is one person leaves and the other stays and says, you see, this is what I'm dealing with, right? This is what I have to go through. The fact is, therapy is hard. It's hard for the client. It's hard for the therapist. It requires a lot of mental and emotional work. If you're going to be placated and you're going to be soothed, then I want to remind you one of the great rules of storytelling, which is also true for life. In storytelling, the best stories are about characters discovering that instead of getting what they want, they get what they need, right? You think of Up, for example. Carl wants Ellie back. He doesn't want her to die. And he wants to just fly away in his house and go to Paradise Falls and then just die, right? What he needs is to grieve and to open up to new adventures and new relationships. Want versus need. Therapy isn't about what you want, per se. I'm not saying there isn't space for what you want, especially what do you, and that's where I always start with clients is what do you want out of life? What are you here for? But we discover along the way what you need, and you need to be open to that. So that's why these sessions didn't go well and how they could have gone better. If you want to know more about the therapeutic process, I invite you to check out this video. What types of therapy are there and what should I choose? And let me know in the comments below, what has been your experience with therapy and counselors? What did you think of the Wednesday series? Let me know. We'd love to learn from you and we'd love to hear your opinions. If you need support, if you need to work through things so that you can reach your potential, I invite you to go to mendedlight.com and schedule a complimentary 15-minute discovery call with one of our specialists to get started today. Until next time, folks, keep shining. We need your light.